pulls his team in a huddle. And I'm thinking, wonder what they're saying. Levi was telling them about David and Goliath. And right before they took the field, Levi played that game. Levi never quit. He never gave up. He was so determined. When the game was over, they gave that game ball to Levi. All the players signed their names on it. And needless to say, they won that game. And they brought home a medal. And Levi never gave up. Today, we get our inspiration from others and we wonder how in the world do they do it. We get through life challenges from the grace of God. God gives us blessings and that we don't always recognize them. Levi was admitted to the hospital after those games. They were going to do all this testing on him to see if he could qualify for brain surgery. One of the hardest things that I've ever had to do was to agree for them to cut open my child's skull and remove part of his brain. David, on the other hand, absolutely refused. I am not doing it. There is no way. It is not happening. And he said, they are not going to crack open my child's skull. Levi said, what's the big deal? They're just going to crack open the skull, take a little bit of brain out, okay? It wasn't funny, but he said it over and over again. So I remember sitting at the doctor's office. We were having discussion, tell me all about it, give you all the information, and David's like, I'm just not doing it. It's not happening. I'm not going to do it. Dr. Santos turned around and looked at Levi, and he said, Levi, you're 16 years old. What do you want to do? And I will never forget. That 16-year-old decision came out, and he said, this is my chance for normal life. Don't take it away. We knew that we had to do it. So we had to look and focus on praying for God to help us. And it seemed that just the seizures just got worse and worse and more, just day after day, sometimes up to 9 a day. It was just dictating our life, dictating his. It wasn't the way to be. He needed a normal life. So we set out to go search and try to figure out if this can happen. We ran into many roadblocks from, this MEG scan is in Alabama. Insurance won't pay for it to go to Alabama. This MEG scan finally gets to Wake Forest, and we get it, and the insurance won't pay for it. We fight insurance. We go through all kinds of letters of appeal, and then the county switches insurance, and we start all over again. With roadblocks, you get all kinds of things thrown your way. But sometimes roadblocks are from God because they have a way to remind you that it's on His timetable and it's not yours. Levi had the MEG scan, and it proved that he qualified for surgery. And like that wasn't enough by itself, in February 2007, my dad went to the doctor with some heart issues. He was told that his heart functioned on 20% and that he was a miracle and he was only here by the grace of God. That was it. Finished me off. I can't take it anymore. How could I worry about my dad and have Levi's surgery at the same time? So I prayed. I prayed for God to take care of my dad and let's let Levi get through surgery. My dad is here today. 3 years later to this month, and you are a miracle, and you are here by the grace of God. Praise the Lord. Once the date was set for surgery and everything seemed to be falling into place really fast, there were so many things happen, and there's so many things that I can't even begin to tell you. I would just leave out. But the youth pulled together, and Michelle, bless her heart, I don't know how many people she cut their hair in a Sunday school class because those kids wanted to support Levi, and they wanted to shave their heads with Levi. And I remember Tyler Lambert saying, I did not come with plans to cut my hair, okay? But when I got in there, it just felt right. At 16 years old, you got a lot of hair. For them to give it up, that was a big step. I was going to bring that hair today. I have that, Michelle. Kelly told me it was a little creepy. But I think Jennifer was in the game plan to pull the youth together and had them write on the blanket that they brought to the hospital for Levi to be covered up with full of Bible verses and encouragement. You know, we just prayed. We prayed for strength. We prayed for courage. But the time had come. We were in the waiting room. There was many of you in there with us, as well as our families. And then I remember them calling his name to come back, and I just felt like my heart had hit my stomach. I was nervous as I could be. Levi was just fine. So they call us back, and we go back into the holding area where they tell you, to get your gown on and everything. And I've already promised not to tell any stories on Levi. That would be embarrassing to him. But they said, "Hey, Levi, are you nervous?" He goes, "No, but my mom and dad are." And I was too. But Levi never was afraid. He was calm. He just laughed. He sang for the entire area, the whole area. They could hear him. So Levi had to have surgery twice. Once to insert the electrodes that would be able to tell where the seizures were coming from. So the first surgery, when they put him in, they cut the horseshoe shape in the back of the head. They took the electrodes that went into every piece of the occipital lobe and around to the left and the right temporal lobe. After that surgery, he was coming back from the surgery, and the stretcher was coming down the hall, and we were all waiting on him to come back. And when he pulls up in front of us and they stop getting ready to turn into the room, Levi's just laying there. You know, my heart's just sick. And he's got a pulse ox on his finger. You know what I'm talking about? The little light on it. He says, "E.T. phone home." Sorry. Levi was taken off his medicine. He was on 3,900 milligrams of medicine. He was taken off his medicine to have seizures. To have seizures so that they could trigger a seizure to watch and make sure where it's coming from, and then they can decide if it could be removed. Well, what they found was there was two places, the left temporal lobe and occipital lobe, which is in the very back. The occipital lobe was 1 centimeter from his vision, which meant there was nothing that they could do. But they would be able to remove the left temporal lobe. So here we go again for the second surgery, for them to remove the 2 centimeters of the temporal lobe. But then they come back and say, your memory is stored on your right or left temporal lobe, and we have to do this WADA test to decide if his memory is going to be affected. So they took